Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Colleges That Change Lives, Small Schools, Big Impact Workshop. I'm delighted to be here moderating today. With us, we have Augustana College, Knox College, St. Olaf College, and Willamette University. I'm Karen Hawks. I'm the post-secondary counselor at Aspen High School. I am also a parent. I have my two kids just graduated college, and one is a proud graduate of a Colleges That Change Lives school, Goucher College. And for her, the experience was life-changing. It was the most perfect match, and that's what you're looking for as a student and as a parent. Where is your child going to thrive and grow? And that's what I saw with my daughter when she chose to attend a small student-focused school, liberal arts education. So I am a huge proponent of all your schools, and I'm really delighted to welcome you all here. Maybe let's get started by having you introduce yourselves, and then I know you have a presentation to run through.
Awesome, thank you, Karen. I am Laura Thiem. I am an admission counselor at Augustana University, and we'll get into more of our specific universities a little bit later, but yeah, that's just a quick little introduction.
Hi, thank you, Karen, for hosting us, and thanks everyone for having us. My name is Sarah Colangelo, and I am from Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois. I'm also an alum of Knox.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shannon Crone, and I am the admissions counselor that works with everybody from Colorado at St. Olaf College, and I too am an alum of St. Olaf.
Hi, y'all. My name is Stephanie Chi. I'm an assistant director at Willamette University, and I also work with all students in the state of Colorado. So I'm kind of your go-to person, and I'm just really excited to be here today.
Excellent. Well, thank you for hosting us. And again, as Karen said, so our sort of theme today is CTCL, the Colleges That Change Lives, small schools, big impact. So most of us are small institutions, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment. But I really believe, I always tell people that if you are doing it right, there isn't a college that won't change your life, right? We are the colleges that change lives. We'll talk a little bit about what that means, what the organization is, but particularly these smaller schools where you're going to have really close relationships with the people around you and really close relationships with the folks, who are teaching you, who are instructing you. These are places where you are going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to feel comfortable making mistakes. And so you're going to learn quite a bit about who you are and what matters to you. So the Colleges That Change Lives, as we know it, the CTCL, ctcl.org, it started as a book. It was a book written by Lauren Pope, who was an education editor of the New York Times. And people would always ask him, Lauren, where should we go to school, right? What are some great colleges? What are some really great colleges? And so he set out to discover what some colleges were that were really, really impactful for students that might not be on everybody's radar, right? That might not be on your list because maybe you haven't heard of them because they're small, right? Or because they're far away from where you live. So Lauren Pope's first book was called Looking Beyond the Ivy League. And so you can see this quote from Lauren Pope. The phrase Ivy League education is an oxymoron when compared to the benefactions to mind and soul the colleges in this book bestow. Not only are they better, but they want you, and you will love them for making a new and better you. Your satisfaction will be lifelong. So lovely. The book is a really great piece, a really great place to start. Not only because it does highlight quite a few schools, both the original, a handful of editions and the newest edition revised by Hilary Massel Oswald, who lives in Denver, I will mention. They do a great job of introducing the college search in a very student-focused way, right? These are schools that are very student-focused, and when you read the book, you'll also I think that it really can change your mindset and sort of approaching your college search in a really student-focused way. So in addition to this book, the Colleges That Change Lives is a nonprofit organization. So the nonprofit, we work together, we travel together and do a series of college fairs around the country every year. we do sort of work together for a scholarship each year. And basically the goal of the nonprofit and the goal of all of our institutions, as again, small kind of liberal arts colleges, we're dedicated to the advancement and support of the student-centered college admission process. So again, putting you at the center as a student, putting who you are as a person at the center, and really like acknowledging the fact that you contain multitudes, right? And should continue to contain multitudes throughout college. The goal of each student is to find a college that develops a lifelong love of learning and provides a foundation for a successful and fulfilling life beyond college, right? So lifelong learning is something that you'll hear a lot as you look at small liberal arts colleges in general, and something that by starting today, you're kind of on that path. Push back on the media frenzy about college admission. It has started. You have definitely been a part of it. I feel like once kind of October hits, just a few days ago was the first day that you could file the FAFSA for the next year. And I feel like the media picks up on that and they're like, well, what else can we report on? So the CTCL as an organization does try to kind of get around that. And I think that you'll find when you look at small liberal arts colleges, we tend to focus a lot more on what our institution can help you with individually versus where we fall in any particular ranking, right? Help de-stress students and families. We hope that we can do that a little bit today by answering your questions and in general throughout the search process, and help students and families see beyond the rankings and discover the quality and the long-term benefits of a liberal arts education. And so before we sort of talk about what distinguishes us individually as institutions, I want to talk a little bit about liberal arts. So I am going to sort of provide a broad definition of that, and then I'll ask my wonderful colleagues to kind of jump in and add anything. I often think of liberal arts. Sometimes I describe it, and I'll use this metaphor today, and I didn't plan to, so forgive me if it's a little bit strange. I often think of it as the difference between a local train and an express train, right? So if you are with a liberal arts education, you are able to focus on something, but you also get a little bit of everything else, right? So again, a train. So you hop on the train, you get on the train and you've got a goal. You're going someplace, right? You're going to get this really wonderful foundation in a field that you will ultimately choose. But along the way, you stop different places. And instead of just looking out the windows and seeing them from a distance, as you might at a large institution where you're in the College of X or the College of Y or the College of Z, you're instead getting out at each stop and kind of stretching your legs, experiencing things. And so if you're majoring in biology, you can take 4 ceramics classes, right, within a liberal arts education. And that's going to make you a better whatever you are. Being well-rounded, trying new things, taking classes outside of your field of interest with people for whom that is their field of interest, right? Taking art classes with artists when you're a physics major is really significant. You learn something about the world and about yourself. So that's how I like to describe liberal arts and its benefits. That went off a little bit longer than I expected to. For my colleagues, do you have anything to add about liberal arts in general?
I love that metaphor. I think that does such a good job of describing it. And I think the last thing you said too about how you're taking classes with people that are majoring in that area, that was definitely not something when I was in high school that I was thinking about, but definitely informed the rigor of my entire experience. And I think the other thing was like taking those classes outside of your major and having the opportunity to do that all 4 years. I think I went in with ideas about what I wanted to major in, and I knew I wanted liberal arts to have time to figure it out. But I think it also occurred to me at some point in college, like, wow, you're a curious person. And like, that also didn't stop after you declared your major, and having that time to like continue to build your whole person alongside the depth of your major was like as influential as the major. For sure.
Sarah, I thought that was it just reminded me of how I kind of explain it to students of not only at a liberal arts institution can you go towards a specific academic pathway, but you also get to include your hobbies and your interests that might not be those specific academic pathways, right? So for example, your for a student who's interested in biology and also have love of ceramics, they can combine those in a specific profession that they're hoping to pursue. I had a student worker in our office who was a exercise health science major, and but she had a passion for dancing. So she got to work with our football players and helping them to kind of introduce them to ballet, to introduce kind of their also passion of dance and exercise health science. So that's kind of how I see liberal arts, is combining your specific academic focus as well as your hobbies, which is really interesting.
Yeah,
The
I
very
love all
last
of
thing,
those.
because it's too good not to mention. Sorry, Laura.
No, we're good.
When you were talking about the like physics major taking an art class, I feel like also important to mention, like, you could be a physics major and an art major, you know, or like you can kind of combine it. And I thought of that because that was one of my good friends in undergrad had that exact major combination. And I was always like, I bet what goes on inside your brain is like wild, right? And very cool.
No, Shannon, that leads perfectly into what I was going to say, and that the liberal arts can really help you as a student, but more so as a person, find all of the opportunities that are within yourself, especially ones that you might not have ever considered before. So like Shannon, for your friend who became a physics and an art major, maybe when they started school, they were thinking, oh, I'll only be a physics major, definitely not art, thinking that or something. But when you take one class that's outside of your major, you can oftentimes end up falling in love with it and then end up getting a minor or a major in that field, or just taking more classes in it because you find it so interesting. And then you're able to speak to that even for years after you've graduated and stuff, which is really awesome.
I might interject. How many of you changed your major in college? Yeah, liberal arts gives you that time to explore as well and do that, to change your major.
I do. I always think about, sometimes I'll be at college fairs and people will come up to my table and they'll just say one word, like biology. I'm really taken aback by that because I really do feel that, like, you can be so many different things, and right, you change your mind, you're going to grow, especially for seniors who are listening and watching, even over your senior year, you change and grow so much. And it's really easy, I think, to fall into sort of a mindset where you feel like you kind of have to live this like narrative lifestyle, where one thing leads to another, but you sort of just have to, listen to your heart, I guess is sort of a something to say, but it's really true. Excellent. Thank you all so much. All right. So that said, there are, I think when you're looking at small liberal arts colleges and looking at liberal arts colleges in general, there are always things, mostly personality and the feel, and this is why visiting is so important when you're looking at schools like this, especially. But there are things that set us apart, right? There are just a few things that make us each unique. And so with that, I am going to throw it to Laura to talk a little bit about Augustana.
Perfect. Thanks, Sarah. So yes, we are Augustana University, and we are located in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which, if you're not quite familiar with it, we have about 2,000 people within the city. And it's a very much so growing city as time is going on, which provides a really unique opportunity to our student population, because not only are you in a growing city where there are a lot of growing opportunities within that, but you're also within a city where you don't quite feel like you're sort of like super young in the city or anything like that. And so it's nice to be surrounded by young professionals and other people within the city that are also kind of going through the same sort of life phase as you are, so to speak. And so we got an error there. And so just a little bit about kind of like what we offer as an institution, and things to really kind of like look for, and what are some good questions to ask as you're going through your college search. So at Augustana, we offer over 100 academic programs, whether that's majors, minors, or pre-professional programs. And so, like we kind of mentioned earlier with like the liberal arts conversation, it's really popular for our students, and probably the same with the 3 other universities that are here. Very popular for our students to double major, just because there are so many options that are available. And you just discover passions and classes that you're interested in that you never really once considered before, which is a really unique opportunity. We have a 98% job placement for our grads after they graduate from our university, and that's within a career path that you've chosen and or within your major. And so it's really important to us that we're not just getting you a job for the sake of having a job, but you're getting a job because it's something that you really love doing and you're able to get up every day and go to work and absolutely love what you're doing. And so that's really important to us, especially too, as you're a student and you're going through those 4 years, help you find what we call it a vocation at Augustana, and to help you kind of discern what exactly you want that to look like. We have over 1,000 local internships, and that kind of speaks a little bit to the city of Sioux Falls. Like I said earlier, it's definitely a growing city and a growing population. And so we have on campus what's called a Student Success Center, and that's a resource for all students to help them find job shadowing opportunities, internships, even part-time jobs or research opportunities. And so we're in a very unique position because Augustana, while it only has 2,000 students, it's the biggest university within Sioux Falls. And so we have more internships and part-time jobs that we actually have students to fill. And so it's really not an ultra competitive environment for our students. And so they're able to get those types of opportunities if they want to pursue those. We also have over 100 clubs and organizations, which really speaks to the student experience. And so this is a great way that students can get involved, and they can also demonstrate and practice a lot of leadership skills. And that's something that's kind of unique at smaller institutions, is that you might not be able to have those opportunities at bigger universities and things like that. And so to get involved so heavily at smaller schools is definitely readily available to you. 53% of our students study abroad. And what's kind of unique about that number is it's significantly higher than the national average. And that's because we have what's called a 4-1-4 academic calendar. And I know some other institutions that are here also run on that calendar as well. But basically, you go to your first semester for like about mid-August to mid-December. And then your second semester for us doesn't start until February and then runs through the middle of May. And so for that January, we call it a J term. And so you take one class for about 3.5 weeks. You go to it for about 3 hours a day. So it's a really intense in-class opportunity. But a lot of students take advantage of that to go abroad if they want to, just because it's not super short like a week is, but it's not as long as a semester or a year-long program if you're not looking to do that. So it's kind of that sweet spot of an opportunity. And then other than that, we have 20 music ensembles and 19 Division II athletic teams that a lot of students at Augustana get involved in as well. And I will turn it over. Let's see if it goes to the next one. There we go. Thank you.
I got it. And let me know too. For Shannon and Stephanie, let me know if I need to advance your slides faster or slower. I'm sorry, Laura, if I rushed anything. Excellent. Fantastic. So cool. I am learning things too. I love these things because I get to learn about different colleges as well. So yeah, so again, I'm from Knox College. So we'll just talk about things everyone wants to know about Knox, or the stuff everybody kind of asks, I think, off the bat. So Knox is also a small liberal arts college. Surprise, surprise. We're located in Galesburg, Illinois, which I'll talk a little bit more about in just a few moments. Knox is about 1,200 students. And so I always tell people that means your classes are going to be between 10 and 20. And I think that's probably true for most of us. That conversation-based classroom is very important at all of our institutions. That is how you learn. Knox students come from 45 states and 49 countries. We're about 19% international students, which is a big number, particularly in the center of Illinois. There are over 100 student-run organizations. Now, over 100 is relatively vague, but that basically just means that students are kind of constantly doing things, right? We put that there to let you know that students are constantly involved in different things. There's always something going on campuses like our campuses here at Knox. One of my favorite clubs on campus is the Tea Club. I actually have a sticker for the Knox Tea Club on my phone. I don't know if you can see, it's got Abraham Lincoln drinking some tea. So I think at all of our institutions, you'll find a variety of clubs, not necessarily just the kinds of things you've had in high school. About 32% of students at Knox self-identify as BIPOC students, and we have 18 NCAA Division III athletic teams. All of this to say, there are a small number of students from all over the place who are doing things. At schools like our schools, our institutions, this sounds really corny, but you truly do learn as much inside the classroom as you do outside the classroom. You learn a lot from the people around you, and you learn the most from the people least like you oftentimes. And so at Knox, that is kind of what our numbers look like in general. And that's campus, of course, you can see. So a few things that are a little bit different. You might not find them anywhere else. No, you might. I'm not challenging you. So just a few things. Knox is on a 3-3 academic calendar. So as we're kind of talking about academic calendars and how they allow our institutions to do some different and cool things, right? And to provide some more experiential opportunities. Knox's calendar is a 3-3 calendar. So that means that students take 3 classes at a time. And there are 3 terms each year: fall, winter, and spring. So 3 times 3 is 9. So you take 9 classes a year, and 9 classes over 4 years is 36 classes total. This is how I like to kind of break it down. This is how we liberal arts in some ways. So 36 classes total. It takes between 10 and 12 to finish a major out of those 36. And even within your major, everything is very a la carte, right? So you can kind of pick and choose the classes that make the most sense for what you're interested in. So even if you and your roommate are both psychology majors with, I don't know, photography minors, right? You're never going to be on exactly the same path unless you really try hard to do that. It's very customizable, very adaptable, again, to your interests. Another thing that 3-3 sort of calendar allows for is immersion terms. So they're 10-week terms. These immersion terms, and basically what they are is opportunities. You don't have to do one as a student, but you're welcome to, where students can just do one thing for a full 10 weeks. And so clinical psychology terms, students basically have a clinical internship for 10 weeks. At the end of it, you sure know if you want to go into therapy or if you may be more interested in research. Green Oaks term, students live at Knox's 700-acre biological field station. We are in Illinois, so it's preserved prairie land. It's very beautiful. Japan term is quick start Japanese language and culture. Open studio is arts related. Repertory theater term, students live like they're in a theater company and put on 2 shows. And then startup term is basically a term where students attend a series of mixers, find a group of people to work with, and then have office space locally where they can kind of start up a small business. And so they deal with intellectual property law and coding a website and things like that. So optional for students, but kind of cool and kind of unique. I will also say with that 3-3 academic calendar, so students take 3 classes at a time, professors teach 2 classes at a time. So that means your professors only have you and another group of 10 to 20 people to deal with. And I think you're going to find this at all of our institutions. Faculty choose to work at places like this, right? They choose to work at places like this because they can work really closely with students through research projects and through the things that they're interested in. So that's something I want to mention just as a general, like what you're kind of getting at a small liberal arts college. At Knox, every student in their junior year is guaranteed a $2,000 Power of Experience grant. Now, there's a lot of research funding prior to this $2,000, after this $2,000, but if you're someone like me who came into college not thinking research would be a part of my life. Knowing that this $2,000 is kind of there waiting for you can be really valuable. We're in Galesburg, Illinois. I want to talk a little bit about Galesburg. So Galesburg is a small city of about 33,000 people. I usually say we're about halfway between Chicago and St. Louis. People from Colorado always ask me like, well, what do you do there? Like, you don't have mountains, like, what do you do? And I always tell them like, there's quite a lot to do. Galesburg is a small city. It's very pedestrian friendly. It's also a really cool city insofar as it's very accessible. I could talk all day about sort of the advantages of even a smaller city as a lovely place to go to college, because you're not competing with a whole lot of folks for internships. The courthouse is right across the street. You can really build an internship with a company in a small city, which is cool. We also have like a Target, and you know what I mean? And like a Buffalo Wild Wings and stuff. So there are comforts of home as well. But Galesburg is a really cool spot. We're also on the Amtrak line. So for folks from Colorado, especially, you can actually hop on the train. I mean, it's a little bit of a hike from Aspen, but you can hop on the train from Denver and be in Colorado or in Galesburg, about 2 blocks from campus, in about 12 hours. You have to sleep on the train, but it's lovely. It also goes to the city of Chicago. We are not in Chicago, but we're about 2.5 hours away, which is, you know, less than 12. So other unique things about Knox. Knox is home to the first Peace Corps preparatory program in the country. There are Peace Corps prep programs all over the country, and they're wonderful everywhere that they are. But Knox's was the first, so I like to brag about it. A lot of folks do go on to do international service. The Justice Corps program, again, we're across the street from the courthouse, and Galesburg is the county seat. So a lot of students will do shadow work in the courthouse. The Justice Corps program basically allows students to help folks who can't afford legal assistance navigate the legal system. College honors at Knox is a little bit different. It's basically a graduate level thesis. You may hear at larger institutions this idea of a separate honors college. That's not something that Knox has, or probably, I'm not sure that any of our institutions would have that, but basically it is a large research, a larger than normal research project. And then I will also mention that Knox has 3 individual separate student-run literary magazines on campus. So creative writing is certainly a program that I feel like really does sort of thrive at Knox. Playwriting, creative writing, and there are 3 different literary magazines at present. Right now, I have one next to me right now, and the edition that I have next to me actually has stickers in it, which is kind of cool. So that's something interesting. Oh, and then behind this image right here, you can see Knox has a 55-foot fin whale skeleton that hangs in our sciences building. So I don't know, other colleges may have whales as well, but I think that as far as I know, we're the only whale in Galesburg. So I think that much at least is true. So yeah, with that, I will toss it to Shannon.
Yeah, I would say unfortunately we don't have any whales at St. Olaf, but I might have to suggest it. So hi everybody, like I said before, I'm Shannon. I represent St. Olaf College, which is in Northfield, Minnesota. Northfield is a town of about 20,000 people, and sort of similar to what Sarah said, I also am quick to point out that there is a Target in Northfield, just to kind of help you place the type of environment that you're in. It is a town of about 20,000 people located 45 minutes south of Minneapolis and St. Paul. So I think here you kind of get that mix of like Northfield itself feels very quaint. It's rated the 2nd best small town in the US. So you have like that very cute downtown street, very Hallmark movie-esque, but also being, I think, not too far from the cities definitely helps if you're wanting to mix things up and do something for fun on the weekend, or maybe in your job search, connecting with alumni. All of that is great to have right there. The other thing that I think is really awesome about Northfield is that we're not the only college there. So Carlton College is another great liberal arts college that is about a mile away from us in Northfield. So you get a lot of fun things like sharing resources, but also a nice little like sibling rivalry for our sports teams. The football game between the 2 colleges is called the Cereal Bowl. And it's called the Cereal Bowl because there is a multi-meal factory in town, which if you're going to have any type of factory close to where you go to college, Cereal actually smells really good while it's being made. So a lot of times it kind of smells like cookies in the town. But anyway, that's what the game is called between us. And there's all sorts of like celebrations if you win. And it's a very fun thing. But really, like day-to-day life when you're at St. Olaf is very much on campus. So you can see a little bit of our campus there. That's the oldest building there, but it's kind of up on a hill. And when you're there, it feels pretty contained. So when you're walking around, you're really seeing people who are other students, staff, faculty. And like you're hearing with so many colleges here today, I just echo everything about like intentional community. It's very residential. You get to make those close relationships with other students, but also faculty in those very discussion-based environments, all really fabulous things. So yeah, and here I've got them. Sarah, you can actually just put all of them up if you want the bullet points on this slide. I had a fancy effect, but this is probably easier. So a couple of things about St. Olaf that are a little more unique to us is we have 75% of our students that study abroad. So similar to what you heard from Augustana, we also have the 414 academic calendar. So about 1,000 of the 3,000 students we have on campus are typically abroad every January. So that definitely has a big impact on that number, but you can certainly do semester programs and even year-long programs too. One of our flagship programs that we have is called Global Semester, and this kind of functions like 5 J terms in a row. So you do 1 month in each country, take a class there. It's led by a St. Olaf professor, and you do that for 5 months in a row. It is incredible on its own. It's also a program that's totally funded by alumni of the program. So there's no additional cost over what you pay to go to St. Olaf. And with all of our programs, financial aid and scholarships do transfer, which I think also impacts how many students are able to go. Other things about us is we are definitely having good representation from Minnesota on campus, about 40%, but we also have about 60% of our students who are not from Minnesota, 10% of whom are international students from 95 different countries, as well as all 50 states being represented. So if you're coming from a little bit farther away, like Colorado, you're definitely not the only one. And I think similar, again, to all of our colleges, having it be such an intentional community really helps you, like, you're all kind of coming together to start at the same place, which is awesome. Something else about us is we have about 1/3 of our students that participate in music, and really like the fine arts in general are just very popular at St. Olaf. And then as you'll see up there, this is true for majors and non-majors. So one of the most kind of like common reasons I see people looking at St. Olaf is maybe you want to be similar to the example we were giving in the beginning, like you're a pre-med student who also wants to be in orchestra. This is a great place for you. You can do that at the most like high major level, but still embrace all those other parts of your identity. I think with the choir specifically, when I describe the choir to people, I often describe it as like, if you think about like D1 college sports, maybe like the Final Four in March Madness, like that's the level of choir that we have at St. Olaf. So if choir is like your thing, it's a great place. And then lastly, we're an hour from the Mayo Clinic. So we have a lot of people who are doing kind of pre-health types of courses of study, like pre-med, pre-dentistry, also helps with Minneapolis being close. And then if you're liking to get outside, our student organization, Always Under the Sun, is our most popular student organization. And it definitely helps that we are on a lot of acres of just like trails, and Carlton has an even bigger arboretum than we do. So there's just lots to take advantage of in the area. So I think, yeah, that's all I got for you. It was awesome to talk to you, and I'll throw it over to Stephanie.
Thanks so much, Shannon. That's super cool. Yeah, I'm here to talk about Willamette. I am your go-to person when it comes to all things Willamette. We are located in Salem, Oregon. We're in the state capital of Oregon, which puts us in a really prime location. We were founded in 1842, so we're actually the first institution along the West. We were actually here before the state of Oregon was even considered a state. And I'll show you why in just a moment, why that's super important to just our location as a whole. But just kind of a breakdown, yeah, like most of the schools here, we're a small liberal arts school. A little under 1,800 undergraduate students are on campus, but we do have professional schools. So we see about 600 graduate students on campus as well. With the small class size of an average of 17 students, you get that 11-to-1 student to faculty ratio. Here at Willamette, you will only be taught by faculty. We don't have graduate teaching assistants. So again, you get that really close relationship with professionals who've been in the field for many years and get to be involved in their research studies. You get to ask professors to help support you in your research studies if that's something you're hoping to do. When it comes to academic majors and programs, we have 54, but we also have a design your own major program here as well. So it's not limited to just the 54. So if you're looking at our website or just our academic majors list, and you're really hoping to combine your love of photography and journalism, and that's not something that we offer, you have that opportunity here at Willamette, which is really unique. So again, you have really the full autonomy to really design your own academic pathway here, which is pretty cool. We do have 20 NCAA Division III sports. This year we added women's triathlon, which made our 20th. So that was really cool. We got to see some of those athletes compete in our Ironman this past summer. So I'm really excited to see that sport really take off. But what I love about our D3 athletic program is that when we call you a student athlete, that's what we mean. You're a student first. I mean, you're paying a lot for school. So obviously student and academics come first, but you also get to continue playing a sport that you love. And so that's what we mean by a student athlete when it comes to a D3 institution like Willamette. We do have over 100 clubs and organizations. A few of my favorite is the Knitting Club. They're making really cool stuff. The Nerf Gun Club is really fun and interactive. It keeps you on your toes when you're walking around campus for sure. And then I'm just part of a new advisor for a Bearcat Club, which I'm really excited to support with college students, continuing like really fun camp activities on our campus. And then when it comes to Willamette, we really encourage this idea of experiential learning, right? We want you to not just sit in a classroom to retain information for the sake of retaining information for exam, right? As an adult, no one's gonna sit you down and make you take a test at random. We want you to have these skill sets that you can go into any job and say, hey, I've already done this. I know how to do this. I'm confident in doing whatever activity or what the job requires, right? So here at Willamette, 100% of our students are involved in internship, study abroad, and research because it's actually part of our graduation requirement here at Willamette. So by the time you graduate, you'll have one of the three under your belt, which makes not only you pretty competitive in a job market, but also for graduate school, if that's something you're hoping to do once you graduate. But in the next slide, I'll kind of show you the layout of why being the first institution in the West has really made us a prime real estate market. So here's our campus right here. Because we're the first institution in the West and first in just the state of Oregon, everything had to grow around us. So that's why we're sandwiched in a bunch of resources. We are literally 76 feet away from the state capitol building. So literally across the street. If you want to know how we got that number, 2 of our staff members took a measuring tape and ran across the street. That was really fun to witness. No one got harmed in the making of getting that number, but it was really fun. But we're the only institution in the nation to be that close in proximity to a state capitol building. And we have really close relationships with folks over there. So students who are interested in politics, policy, law, or just have that hobby of lobbying or just getting involved with state legislators and legislation, you can just walk across the street, tap on someone, say, hey, I'm interested in this. How do I get involved? connect me with an internship. They're just like, all right, let's get you connected, let's get you started. And then we're literally across the street as well from the Salem Health Hospital. So for students who are interested in going to a health profession, nursing school, med school, or interested in psychology, this is another great resource where students find those internship opportunities. And then we're only 2 blocks away from the downtown city of Salem, where there's a bunch of restaurants, coffee shops, movie theaters. I love finding comedy shows in the downtown area. There are 6 performing theaters just within the downtown area, so there's always things to do. And then we're only an hour away from the coast and an hour away from the mountains. So if you like snow activities or water activities, again, we're less than an hour away. Again, so prime real estate, our students have a lot of things to do on campus, but outside of campus as well. When it comes to just distinguishing factors about Willamette, we have a 305-acre forest called Xena. So for students who are interested in forestry, agriculture, sustainability, we have a sustainability minor here that's really popular. We're doing really amazing work when it comes to land restoration. Students can use it not only as an academic space to conduct research, collect samples, but also recreationally. Students can hike out there. There's a bunch of really unique trails, or camp out there for a weekend. And our farming club has a greenhouse out there where they tend to the produce and the bees. So it's really, really fun. Another thing about our campus is we have 11 Oregon Professors of the Year, noted by the Carnegie Foundation Advancement in Teaching, which is a record unmatched by any other school in the state of Oregon. So we're really proud of our faculty members. Every university obviously will rave about their faculty members, but here at Willamette, again, they really want to build that relationship with you. And not only when it comes to your academic interests or professional interests, but also your hobbies. You can go, we have a student who goes rock climbing with their professor once a week, because that's just, they found their passion together and with rock climbing. So you can do that with your professors here as well. And then when it comes to other things, we do have dual degree programs where not only can you earn your undergraduate degree, but also your master's degree or Juris Doctor degree in less time. So we have dual degree programs in business, data science, and law. So if you're already thinking about becoming a lawyer or going into business or data science, we have these accelerated programs for you. And then what's also really unique is our partnership with Tokyo International University. So we have this longstanding partnership, over 55 years of partnership with Tokyo International University and their satellite campus, Tokyo International University of America, here on our campus in Salem, Oregon. So in a given year, we have over 100 international students on our campus and 100 of our students studying at TIU in Japan. But that's not the only study abroad programs that we offer, but this is just one of our Japanese immersion programs here on our campus. But yeah, those are some of the few things that make us unique.
Thank you all so much. I learned a lot. I want to go back to college. I want to, give everybody some time just to ask questions. Our participants, does anybody have any questions? I know that we only have a minute or so, but please, if you can unmute yourselves or put a question in the chat. And if there aren't any questions.
Hi.
Go ahead.
This is Mike from Basalt. I just have a question. Are these being recorded, do you know, so that other people can access them later?
Yes, they are. You'll be able to
Okay.
access it later. And I do encourage all of you to reach out to these admissions reps at the schools and ask your questions as they come up as well.
Great, thank you.
Sure. Well, I so appreciate the participants and certainly the colleges and you admissions reps joining us today. My takeaway is that these schools are such jewels for our students. I think if you're a student or if your child wants to be an engaged student, wants to be around engaged students, wants to have the engagement with professors, wants to have engaged professors who are really focused on them as undergraduates. They want to be encouraged to explore subjects outside of their areas of interest right now as 18-year-olds, then these schools are definitely ones that you should be looking at. So thank you all again. And I encourage you to reach out or visit these schools in their separate rooms today. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.